Alright, it's me again. Hope you're all doing well. And I'm here today to talk about factor buddies. Because this is what you're going to work on in homework tonight, factor buddies. And what that means is you're really finding factor pairs. The first thing you're going to use is your divisibility rules to find one factor, and then you're going to use long division to determine the factor buddy, or the other part of the factor pair. So let's do an example. Let's start with the number, let's say 183. So 183. So let's think about, first thing that will be really helpful is if we discover the digital root of 183. And if you remember our discussions from last week, to find the digital root, all you do is add up the digits in the number, and then if the sum is a double-digit number, you keep adding until you have a single-digit number. So we have 183, so that would be 1 plus 8 plus 3. 1 plus 8 plus 3, of course, is 12. Well, that's a two-digit number, so we needed to add 1 plus 2, and that equals 3. So the digital root of 183 is 3. So the next step is we want to start off with our factor side and our factor buddy side. And this is very similar to what your homework looks like. So we'll start with the factor side using our divisibility rules. Well, of course, 1 goes into any whole number. And the factor buddy for 1 is obviously the number itself, 183. So we have our first factor pair, 1 and 183. So then we go through and we think, okay, let's think of our divisibility rules. Of course, for 2, it is any even number. Well, 183 is not an even number. Therefore, it is not divisible by 2. So let's think of our other divisibility rules, which are listed on your homework paper. Our other divisibility rule, if we go to 3, the divisibility rule for 3 is if the digital root is 3, 6, or 9. Well, the digital root is 3, so 183 is divisible by 3. So that's another factor. What we don't know yet is 3's factor buddy. We'll come back to that momentarily. Now, the next rule we learned last week was 5. If the number ends in a 5 or a 0, it is divisible by 5. Well, our number ends in a 3, therefore it is not divisible by 5. Our next one was 6. The divisibility rule for 6 is that if it is divisible by 2 and 3, it is divisible by 6. Well, it is divisible by 3, as we've already noticed, but it is not divisible by 2. Therefore, it is not divisible by 6. The next rule we learned was 9. Well, the divisibility rule for 9 is if the digital root is 9, then it is divisible by 9. Well, our digital root is 3, not 9, so therefore it is not divisible by 9. And finally, we learned 10. If the number ends in a 0 or a 10, ends in a 0, it is divisible by 10. Well, this number ends in a 3, so it is not divisible by 10. Now, there may be other factors larger than the ones we learned the divisibility rules for, but we're focusing on those right now. So right now we have a factor of 1 and 3, and we found 1's factor buddy, 183. Now we have to find 3's factor buddy. The way we do that is using long division. So what we set up is we take our original number, 183, and that becomes our dividend. 183 is our dividend. The factor, 3, becomes our divisor. And then we'd use our division dance. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, restart. So we start, does 3 go into 1? And we know that it does not. So then we say, okay, how many times does 3 go into 18? 3 goes into 18 6 times. And we place that 6 above the 8. So now we've divided. I can check that off my list. The next step in the division dance is multiply. We always multiply the divisor times the newest digit in our quotient. In this case, it is 3, our divisor, times 6, which is the newest number, our newest digit in our quotient. 3 times 6 equals 18. So we've done multiplication. So we have 18. Where to put it though? We put the 18 underneath our dividend. Our next step is subtraction. We subtract 18 minus 18. So you can kind of follow that right there. 18 minus 18. Well, 18 minus 18 equals, hopefully you all can say that out loud, 0. So we've subtracted. We've divided, we've multiplied, we've subtracted. The next step is to bring down the next digit in our dividend. In this case, it is 3. So we bring down the 3. Now we've brought down. So the next step, of course, is to restart. And we restart by treating the 3 as our new dividend. And then we go back to doing our exact same step. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 3 go into 3? And of course, that's 1 time. So now we've divided again. So I'm going to check that off the second time. Then we multiply. We multiply our divisor times the newest digit in our dividend. We multiply the divisor times the newest digit in our quotient. In that case, it's 3 times 1. Well, 3 times 1 equals 3. So I'm going to put the 3 that I just got, and then I subtract, and I get 0. Now there's so I've multiplied, and I subtracted again. There's nothing left to bring down. Therefore, 61 is the correct answer. You can check this by taking your dividend, scratch that, my bad, your quotient times your divisor, and it should equal your dividend. So let's look at that. Quotient times divisor equals dividend. Quotient times divisor equals dividend. So in this case, the quotient we got was 61. Our divisor was 3. 3 times 1 equals 3. 3 times 6 equals 18. So 183. And if you look, our original dividend was 183. So 61 is the factor buddy for 3. So we use the divisibility rules to figure out our factors, and then we use long division to figure out our factor buddy. If you struggle with this, please come by in the morning. Thank you and have a good day.